Hi, Bob. This was the day for coaching interviews, and we had Bilal Marshall and Andrew Jackson, which is, of course, wide receivers coach and defensive line coach. And they, for once, were feeling chatty, which we haven't heard from the coaches lately. Particularly good to see Marshall, since this is the first time we've seen him as a coach in one of these interviews, or I think it is. I don't recall him in spring. May have missed that. You just gotta like him. And you get the feeling the players are going to play for him. Now, of course, you gotta hope he knows his stuff. I think he does. And I am, well, let's say there's a pretty darn good chance he knows more about it than I do. And maybe a good chance he knows more about it than you do. But I like him. I think things are going to be good. And I'll tell you, here's where I'll start. He talked a lot about protect your buddy. Not protect your body, protect your buddy. That involves blocking, whether it's a running play or a pass 30 yards down the field, and you got to be down there to keep somebody else from catching your buddy before he gets to the end zone. There's a whole lot more focus on teamwork than what we saw once upon a time. And I really feel like the entire coaching staff is channeling Bill Stewart in some respects. Leave no doubt, and never leave your wingman. I like it. I think playing as a team makes a big difference. And that is part of the culture that Neil Brown has been trying to build here. It's been tough because the mentality was quite different before, and something like that has a tendency to linger. I hope we have seen the back end of it, and I think we have. And by the way, this is Bob. You may have met him before. He complicates things. Yeah, a lot of emphasis on blocking. Also noted that having a running quarterback has definitely opened things up. They've gotten a number of long passes as a result. He wasn't happy with explosive plays early. More recently, they've gotten better. He likes it when the tackling starts, because he expects his guys to make the defense miss. And he lets the defense's coaches know it when it happens. So I think coaching staff is also having some fun with each other. Carries over to the players, carries over to the field. And when you love the game, you play harder. Guys that are hot are the guys that are going to play. It's not going to be an absolute set from week to week. You got to win it. And he said, you like to have 6 guys that you trust in the rotation. He feels he's got at least 8 or 9. So he seems to be a lot happier with the wide receiver room than the media or certain fans are. And again, I think he knows more about it than we do. On the particular players, on one particular player, but we don't know which one, he said you're going to see a lightning bolt out there on Saturdays, but he won't name who. Now, of course, as far as we know, E.J. Horton is the one who's had the fastest official time. But if he was talking about Horton, you kind of think he'd mention Horton. Leaves you wondering if there's something else going on, and he's got a secret, and he ain't going to tell. But we'll see it, maybe. Penn State, I hope. And hopefully they'll be seeing it from behind. Carter and Bram have been both the most consistent and the best receivers through camp, which is good, of course, since they are the primary starters. He did say there were things in Carter's game that he particularly wanted to fix, and Carter works. He's fixed them. I don't, yeah, would have helped if I had known that from my fixing problems video I did about the offense yesterday, but yeah, they identify problems and they fix them. So again, we have reason to expect good things from Carter. Great things? I don't know. But right now, I'll take good things. Jarrell Williams has been a pleasant surprise, which is good to hear. I'm glad he's coming on. Of course, they talked a lot. Reporters asked multiple times about Rodney Gallagher and Traylon Ray. It's all positive. Now, he said Ray is pretty much where he expected him to be based on his high school tape. But then again, where he expected him to be is maybe a little farther along than some receivers would be. Said Ray has a chance to be special. The good news is he also works hard. Because that chance to be special we've heard before. Or he can be as good as he wants to be. Marshall didn't use that line, but we've heard that one. But it depends on how good that player wants to be, and it sounds like Ray wants to be as good as he can. Yeah, let's see here. Like I said, Bob is kind of complicating some of this. Yeah, said you guys are going to really like Ray when you get a chance to see him out there. So yeah, he's got me looking forward to it. Rodney Gallagher, a little farther ahead of where he expected him to be. And like Coach Brown, he particularly was impressed by his willingness to block. So, not afraid to stick his face in it, which, given partly his size and he played quarterback. You don't normally, well, yeah, Marshall teases him because he played basketball, said he didn't expect a basketball player to be that tough. So, I think it's going to be a fun season. Bram, they say he's been consistent, but has really turned up the heat the last 4 practices. Jeremiah Aaron, he's doing well, but he has to learn to just go, as Marshall puts it. Said he gets a little too cute sometimes with his routes, and he has to keep telling him just go, use his speed. Preston Fox is a Honda Accord. He's dependable. He's not going to break down on you. He says we can trust him. We know he can play, and he's going to play. Hudson Clement, and we've heard about Clement going back to spring. So, he's a walk-on, but he's one of these guys who's really pushing for a scholarship. And he he went as far to say that when Clement is older, he might be the guy. So, dang, we got Traylon Ray, Rodney Gallagher, and Hudson Clement could be the guy. That sounds like quite a wide receiver room starting now and then getting better. Andrew Jackson. He said, we're not proud of the product we put out last year. And the thing is, a lot of people talk about what we lost on the defensive line because Stills was a star and Jefferson got a lot of build-up. But there were problems on the line last year. Now, I'm not sure exactly what they were or where they were. I may talk about some of my theories in my problems and fixes video on the defense when I do that one, but particularly up the middle we had a lot of stuff going on. Too many teams found ways to run against us. And that starts with the line. Now, one thing he said, we may not have a guy who's going to make, I think he said the splash plays, I'll say the flashy plays, but we are going to make the routine plays. And if you make the, this is me, not him. If you make the routine plays consistently, you don't need somebody who can come up and make the super, big tackle for loss strip play. Okay, yes, we want those. But if you're dependent on them, if you need somebody to erase an earlier mistake, you got a problem. Let's start with not making the mistake. Let's play assignment football. And that's what this group is good at. I said the mentality is fixed on working. Coach Brown, I think it was Coach Brown, mentioned rotating in a lot of players. Jackson wasn't specific, but he did say it's going to be a lot of mix and match. It's not so much bringing in, 3 new guys to replace the 3 in there and kind of having, set squads. I also told the press we're going to keep you guys on your toes, which I think is also going to apply to the offenses as well as the viewers. It may be a little hard to keep track, but I think that rotation is going to pay off. We may not be flashy, but I think the line is going to be strong and consistent. As far as some of the guys he specified, brought up Mike Lockhart multiple times, and one of the consistent themes, they say, Lockhart was not really in shape last year because he hadn't been playing for a while, had been in the portal for a while. He's now been in the program long enough to be in shape, and it shows. He's making a difference. Everybody loves Eddie Vesterinen. And he said, he really takes coaching well, has the most relentless motor he's ever seen. So, again, he may be from Finland, but he's a mountaineer. And that's what we want. We want West Virginia grit mountaineer players. Mentioned Thornton, which is the first time I've heard. Of course, he's been coming back from an injury, but he's doing well, and definitely wanted to hear that. Corey McIntyre making flashes. Somebody on one of the boards was wondering because we hadn't heard anything about McIntyre, so he's coming. So are some of the other young players. Hawkins, not surprising. He is the energy guy. He's the vocal guy. Tara Simmons, we heard about him in the spring. We've heard about him in the fall, having a good camp, better than before. But Jackson said, he's got to take the next step. He's ready to take the next step, but he's got to take it. And he's got a number of guys he wants to put some additional pressure on to test them, to give them opportunity to show what they can do between now and the scrimmage on Saturday, plus the scrimmage on Saturday. He wants to know the 8 or 9 guys that he can really depend on. But things sound good. A lot of the coaches have been kind of quiet. These guys weren't. Is everything perfect? Nope. But it's not just that they say it's good. What they admit was wrong and what they have done to fix it make sense. And that's on both sides of the ball. I like the players. I like this team of coaches. Wide receiver coach has been a rapidly rotating position. Now that we've got Marshall, I hope he stays. He sounds like he's a really good one. But the only problem with having good position coaches or assistant coaches is other people want them. So whether or not we're going to be able to keep some of these guys is a bit of a question. But I think things are in place for a good season. Things can still go wrong. But I think things are in place for a good season. Now, you should go watch these complete interviews. Don't just take my word for it. And, of course, I've left things out. But I'm having fun. I hope you are too. I hope we're still having fun at the end of September. And we'll find out. Now, I've got to pay some more attention to Bob. So I'll talk to you guys another time.